Jasmine knew the quote because it was the sermon their minister preached on the album in tribute to the victims of the Jim Jones massacre. Marcus, I must warn you, I serve a mighty God, and if I tell you that my faith, I will do this, I believe it to be true. And don't you ever insult my beliefs or my intelligence again, okay? Thank you very much, Jasmine said as she unfastened her seatbelt and made her final exit. Yeah, yeah, Marcus made a gesture with his right hand, almost a half fisted swipe through the air, which was German sign language for forget it. Moment, he added, and he fastened his seatbelt and reached behind Jasmine's head for the briefcase she noticed he'd placed there when he hopped in the car earlier. Instead of pulling it out, he simply snapped open the locks and retrieved some papers. Here, for you, the English words of our new contract. You read, write name, and mail to me next week, yeah? Jasmine started to tell him to take his funky ass contracts and cram them straight up his, but that wouldn't have been Christian. She accepted the papers with a harmless eye roll and looked at Marcus again. You see there, I make 2 times the money. You get 800 marks each month. Yeah? Marcus said, tapping the top page of the contract with his index finger. Yeah, but like you said earlier, Marcus, 800 is really no money at all, Jasmine reminded him. Marcus ignored her remark and continued as if Jasmine had said nothing. I phone in 2 weeks, he finished, lighting up a cigarette. He knew Jasmine objected to cigarette smoke, so this gesture signaled their talk had ended. Well, to be truthful, Marcus, I think I'll be there in 2 weeks, but I guess there's no harm in trying, Jasmine said, trying to drop a hint. You make holiday? Marcus suddenly wasn't in such a big hurry after all. Not a vacation? I decided that it's time I move on, Marcus. I'll get in touch with you when I move into my new place. Jasmine had the faint hint of a smile on her face. So I won't be needing your contracts. I've decided to work independently from now on. Nine. You keep papers and read. We talk, okay? I give more, 1,000 marks. But that is it, that is all, Marcus implored, his shaky hands making a smoothing motion in front of his chest. If you insist, Jasmine said, noticing Marcus shaking and wanting to just leave and make a believer out of him. You do know, Yasmin, if you stay in Deutschland without the proper visa, the police come and get you, send you back to America. It was a weak ass attempt to frighten Jasmine, and it proved to be the wrong choice of words. Oh, yeah, Marcus? Well, tell them to bring their asses on and send me back to America. Like that's torture or something. Remember, I ain't from no Somalia or something. So you tell the police to bring their bad asses on, okay? Jasmine had had enough of Marcus and all his arrogance. It only it only take one call. If you stay, if I called them, he actually had the gall to continue. Marcus, do you think because of the fact that I don't want to work with you any longer, you can threaten me with something as weak as that? Jasmine blurted out. You want a threat? Listen up. I have every receipt of every check that was ever spent to you in Xerox straight from your office file drawer. The locked drawer that you keep the key hidden under your potted plant in the corner for? Jasmine didn't have the papers, but she knew they existed because of Jim's big mouth. She opened the door and stepped out the car, adjusting her shoulder bag and getting her Louis Vuitton out of the back. Here, you keep your contract, Marcus, for the next victim. I'm through with it, okay? Although a question, Jasmine said this like a command. Her hands were full. so she used her hip to give the door what she meant to be a firm bump. It slammed hard. Scheiße! Marcus yelled from inside the car. Then he opened the driver's side door and jumped out, trying to catch up with Jasmine. Yasmin! Bitte! He hurried to the now nearly running Jasmine. She whirled around to face him. You owe me all. I bring you to Deutschland. I pay Geld. You stay by your own. I do this. You owe me. As Marcus spoke, he was working up foam at the corners of his mouth, and he was sweating a little, even though they both knew to wear jackets in this October weather. For some reason, Marcus was getting a mild case of preacheritis. Think first of what you do for me, then think of what you do to me, Marcus. And this is why I must go. If you are honest with yourself, you know that is true. Jasmine was not surrendering to any of Marcus's tactics and turned to head for her train. You have nothing. You know nothing, Marcus almost whispered to Jasmine. She supposed he was referring to the locked drawer papers. Try me, please, Jasmine said, now wanting even more to get away from Marcus. His clouded over face and dark eyes were beginning to make him look like Jack Nicholson in The Shining when he first started going nutty. Have a nice life, Marcus, she said as she was walking away, no longer looking into Marcus's spaced out face. She checked the big clock that loomed overhead. She had approximately 8 minutes to board her train. On the train ride back to Fulda, she tried to push all the negative thoughts that were trying to cloud her mind out. She wanted to just concentrate on what she must do next. After her final connection, she had narrowed the list of possible new cities down to just 2, either Munich or Dusseldorf. After transferring to the Bad Kursville train and reaching the station 20 minutes later, she had decided for sure that it would be Munich. Jasmine really didn't know why. It just felt right. As Jasmine stepped off the train to Bad Kursville into the bright noonday sun and rounded the corner of the Bahnhof office that blocked immediate access to the main street and the taxi stand, she saw a chubby little blonde-haired German boy who was no more than 6 years old, standing with a group of men wearing the hats and scarves of the Hessen soccer team. The boy pointed at Jasmine and said, Guck mal, Papa, der Nigger, der Nigger. A group of 5 beer-bellied men all turned around and looked over at Jasmine and laughed heartily, while the one that must have been the Papa patted his son on the head in a true Nazi father-son moment. See? Now that's the shit I'm talking about, right there, Jasmine thought in a rage as she walked past the group of men with her head held high. When she was within a few feet of the father and son, she said the only word in Deutsch that could help her at a moment like this. Schade, she said, which in Deutsch means pity. Jasmine knew she would have to wait her turn on a taxi since there was a crowd of people ahead of her waiting. There was busy by Bad Kursville standards. Hey, sister. Jasmine knew the voice immediately. She whirled around and saw Verges waving from a parked car behind the taxi stand, confirming to Jasmine that Verges really was an angel. She hadn't even called her and looked. Jasmine took off toward the black BMW, smiling widely, so glad she wouldn't have to wait out there with people staring at her. Lady, you know you are a mind reader, Jasmine said, grinning as she opened the front door passenger seat.